Yeah,
This
it was super quick.
this
It was like 2
this.
seconds.
Oh wow. Because the
Yeah.
time before that, I think it was like 14 seconds. So YouTube will figure it out one of these days. Welcome back to the live show. We are live because us humans do things in real time, and that's what it means to be live. Just trying to talk while I open this because all my equipment's been funky. All right, 2023. That's the year we're in, right?
I'm pretty sure it feels like 2047 though.
It does. That pandemic was oof. That aged me. Um, hey, before we jump into anything, rate your year 1 through 10. What did you think for 2023? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best.
Um, I gotta say a 6. I mean,
Then what was the highlight? If you're going to give it over 50%, what pushed it to a 6 from a 5? Did you hit the lottery? Did you go on
no, no.
vacation?
Well, I
Did
mean,
you,
I have a really good life other than extraneous stuff that permeates sometimes.
well,
I
being a white male in America, what can you say?
so far so good on that one.
Win in the W column. Um, no. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No. I mean, uh, 2020, pretty bad year, right? I mean, like a bad year, but for some people, it was worse. Let's say in 2016, something happened in January 20th, 2017, and
That
a lot of
orange
people.
McMuffin.
The Orange McMuffin came, the
Yep.
the guy who throws poo around, and that was rough for more than a lot of people. I saw the shift politically more than any other time in my life. So by January 20th, 2021, um, I felt some relief from that. Uh, Followed by just others. Life happens. Sometimes it's hard, but yeah, I think you learn more about yourself in difficult times than you do about like when everything's just great. Like, what do you have to learn? You don't have any wisdom that comes from you know uh, frustrations or um,
No, you mean you don't have wisdom that comes from non-frustrations. Like
yeah,
non,
yeah.
yeah.
When conflict happens, you learn who other people are. You learn how the world is. You learn what you're capable of,
Who your
and
real friends are.
yeah. So I
Well, and
think
that's listen. That's why I always say like, so many people are like, rich people have problems too, and I'm like, yeah, but they got no fucking character. Let's be honest. People that, in fact,
not
that's also one of.
all not all rich people don't have character. I don't know what you're talking about. As usual,
You're right. The ones that used to be poor, they got some character.
oh,
um, well, that's good to hear that you were
has
at a
character.
6. Yeah, because it was. Listen, we're in like this weird time where the political cycle, the election campaign cycle, like doesn't end now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I'm not even kidding. The past this year and last year, I was like, oh shit, we got another election coming up, and I kept
Yep.
thinking it was like this November, and I'm like, oh no, it's just heavily concentrated always on politics, like way more than 20, let's say 2012 or 13. I think
Yeah.
Obama sparked it. Trump maxed it out. And now it's like every year they're like, Trump's going to run again if you don't vote as hard as you can. And it's
Yeah.
nuts.
Every single election cycle since I was about 18 years old has been the thing that is repeated every single time is this is the most important election of your life.
Do you
This
remember
is the one
Diddy's
that is
Vote or
going to
Die?
shatter democracy or one way or the other. What?
Do you remember Diddy's Vote or Die? That was the
Oh,
slogan.
yeah, of course. I watched South Park.
Vote or die. No, but I mean, do you remember living through? I remember watching the commercials at my friend Janessa's house on, and they used to love watching Carson Daly and what was
Wow.
the show he had? It was right after school at 3 o'clock. Carson Daly and
TL something.
TLZ. No.
No.
Shh. Total. Oh my God, that's the show. Whatever, I cannot remember. Not TLC. Total
TD, total
Total
something.
Recall Live or something like
TRD, yeah. Total Recall Daily, I think, or something like that, right?
something like that. No, but for real, it was like the biggest. Like we would get out of high school and go right to Janessa's house, and all the girls throw it on because Eminem, NSYNC,
Oh
Backstreet
my god, I gotta
Boys,
look it up now.
Steven Tyler. I'm trying to think like anyone who is anyone made an appearance in Times Square, shook Carson Daly's hand.
TRL? TRL? Is
I
that
want to
right?
say TRL. That's what I. But again, memory not good.
Yeah.
I didn't care for the show, but it was one of the biggest things ever. And I remember during that period, I don't know if it was during that show, you would watch these commercials where Puff Daddy would fucking come on the TV and tell you vote or die. And I thought, this moron, like this stupid asshole, who is paying him? And it was
TRL.
TRL, Total
Request Live. That's what it
Request.
was. I
Yes,
know, I
because
know.
people, it was all about getting your music video to the top of the charts.
Yeah.
So that's when, like, that was a big thing. I don't think that's even a thing anymore. Kind of. Back in my day, we had music videos.
Did every minute of it.
Okay.
History. Oh
Yeah,
wait,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
I didn't ask you what do you rate? By the way, I'm switching mine from a 6 to a 7, and I'll tell you why. I not only
I don't know if you
survived.
get to do that, but
No,
I'll
I
allow
just did. So
it.
no,
Okay.
I don't. So not only did I survive in 2023, but in some ways, I thrived, and um, I won't get more into it other than say I had a lot of travel. I had a lot of music that I saw live. I had a lot of opportunities. I didn't think. I mean, this happened. Just a bunch of cool things. So
You know
I'm
what?
I'm pushing it to a 7.
Well, you know what I was gonna say, or when you asked me, I was gonna say you have to kind of divide. I don't think anyone can realistically give um a rating based on the totality of the year. I think you have to break it up into like a family, a
Yeah.
a work, a social, and like a personal, right? I think that that's appropriate.
I did that median already. I took the mean average.
Oh, good. Because I was gonna
Yeah.
say, like, listen, work for me was a fucking -2.
Really?
Uh,
Did something happen at work, Robbo?
I just got off the phone. I did another interview with the Boston Globe. They're putting out an article in 2 weeks. I don't know. I'm doing the photo thing on Tuesday for it. The week before, I did another newspaper. I can't even remember. They just all kind of blur together because you just talk about the retaliation of what I tell these people. The largest global coffee corporation in the history of the world. And I say that specifically because you have to remember who you're up against. This isn't just Starbucks. This isn't just some coffee chain that's in your neighborhood. These are the motherfuckers that will stomp you out if you test them. Um, and we formed a union, took a vote, won, and they refused to certify it, retaliated against us, bribed people. I just watched a bunch of illegal activity go down. So it has been a horrific year. I've seen a lot of people, a lot of good people kind of crumble in that pressure cooker of,
Yeah.
you know, upper management putting you to the test of what you know is the law and what you're willing to do to appease the bosses, even if they
So what
ask
do
you
you
to
so
break
what
the
are
law.
you saying your number is?
-2. I said that.
Sorry.
Negative two.
I missed that.
Oh yeah, -2. Um, but if you look at like my personal life, my kids are healthy, and I just got a new niece, so I would say that's like a 20. I don't know. Like you can't put a number. I can't. It's too hard to put a number on like my son's birthday is coming up, seeing him happy, having a new baby in the you know what I mean? Even though
Yeah.
like that's the hard part where like the personal stuff for me is like a -19 right now. I cannot explain the depression you go through when
Did you see this comment, by the way?
2024. I'm like, listen, why progressive males? Yep. We're all soy boy cucks or whatever you call us.
Yeah,
You know what?
tree hugging bunny fuckers.
Listen. Um Oh, this totally threw me off. Well, because what I wanted to point out, and I'm going to jump way ahead. At the end, we're going to recommend some YouTubers, but let me just get this straight out the way. Because if you're going to talk about progressive males, and you know how the joke is soy boy, um, they looked H Bomber guy. I think I told you to
You
check out
told me
his video.
last time. Yep. Yep.
Did you watch it?
What? Some what?
Oh, you're doing, everybody's doing themselves a disservice if you're not watching H Bomber Guy's videos. He just took down like 4 YouTubers for their plagiarism, but he did a whole measured response to the soy boy progressive thing, and it was hilarious because it turns out soy like helps with sperm count. It's in the ingredients that these so-called alt-right, like the Alex Joneses, hawk when they hawk um, their
Gotta get
supplements
your vitamins. Gotta
and
get
their
those
brain.
vitamins inside you to be a real patriot.
Listen, those brain medicines is funny because he just puts up screenshots. He says, "Look at the ingredients. It's like soy." Um, so he just did this whole very well thought out, well researched response, and I highly suggest it to anyone. I wasn't looking for it. It's just once you watch one video, YouTube's like, watch all his videos. So I ended up doing that. Um,
That's how I found you. What?
what did you look up? Garbage comedy? What did you put in the search? Dumpster fire?
I genuinely cannot remember how we hooked back up, but I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I first saw you on Twitter 2012, 2013, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's funny." Like you had a few videos, but it was really your comments I thought were funny or whatever. And then it's got to be 2022, last year, when I saw something come up for it wasn't your Tony Robbins. No, it was not Weekend Update. I was
Yeah,
watching a ton of Weekend Update stuff like back to back to back, and not Weekend Update came up.
he recommended it, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Because 2022 was the first year I've had my YouTube channel, I think, since 2008, but I never utilized it. In fact, I think a lot of the people on YouTube are visionaries where they thought this is a platform I could turn into a career. I worked in radio, never thought, like, my biggest regret that hit me around 2021 was like, oh shit, these kids are brilliant for their thinking outside of the box. I'm going to do this on my own. Um, Men can magically transform into women.
Yeah,
Anything's
man.
possible. So Bobby Rizzo,
Totally.
you don't believe in magic? God damn, you're fun at Christmas. Um, so essentially, I think it was late 2021. I promised myself every week I'd release a video, and that's a hard thing when you're like, I just want to do comedy. I
Yeah.
couldn't do stand up on here, but I did that.
You could. You could. You just didn't know how. I didn't know how either.
No, I'm talking about like the true form of stand up where you're just telling
I
jokes.
get it. I get it.
You know what I mean? Because listen, I just wrote a whole set this week and I was like, do I just film it with you know what I mean? Like, do I just say it and film it? I don't know. Um, but one big YouTuber, I'll give him a shout out, Omar Gosh, watch his stuff. He's amazing. He gave me some advice at some point and said, what you're doing is like, it's called trend hopping, or there's a word for it,
Yes. Yep.
and you make videos that kind of capitalize on what's happening, and when Saturday Night Live plays, it's going to recommend my stuff. YouTube even shows me, it's like, hey,
Yeah.
we're, so I just thought that's another way to kind of boost my ego and help me feel better about doing this thing while I'm a loser everywhere else in life. That make you
No,
feel better, Bobby Rizzo?
I was just gonna say we're progressive males who love unions, and we believe men can magically transform into women.
I believe in magic, Bobby. I don't know why you don't.
I
It's a
don't.
sad.
No, I'm not even addressing the preface. Let's see. It was argued by its heads and poison your law. I'm not. I don't even know
Yeah.
what that means.
um
Moving along.
So listen, so let me just finish because the
Yeah.
personal life thing, it's so tough, and I hope other people can relate to this, where we are economically as a society with so many people struggle. I just talked to this girl who's trying to get her third job just to like afford her car and her rent. You know what I mean? It's like it's absurd shit. Um, But personally, the toughest part for me when my niece was born was I'm not going to be able to see her. And that is
Yeah.
so hard because you're working just enough to like pay bills. Like we don't even have heat in our house. Um, and you're grinding it out, and then this magical time happens where a new member of your family comes. And for me, my family was decimated years ago. It's just me and my brother left. My parents died. My other brother's been homeless. In fact, I had a dream that I thought he had passed away. It's just been eerie. And then this magical baby comes, and you're like, yes, oh my god, I want to squeeze him. Not that hard, but um, and you realize like, oh, I'm never going to be able to see her. The best thing we can have is Zoom, because you can't afford to go. Even my other niece, who's going to be 3 or going to be 4, I got to see her twice. Twice.
You'll
These
be able to
kids.
see. Can it happen? It can't happen. Not everything is, can happen super quickly. But
I've been waiting years. So anyway, so we'll move on. So I just think, this year's a wash.
yeah,
Some magic stuff happens.
it's a wash. I agree. It's a wash.
And that's what scares me about next year. It's like I feel like I hear so much about Trump that it's just exhausting. Because at this point, I'm like, who cares? I love the people that pretend like Trump is so different than Biden. I'm like, yo, they're both the same dude. Can we all at least get on some level where, like,
No, they're not the same dude.
they're
Love of
very
God,
close?
man. I don't have the time nor the inclination to have this conversation right now. Not the same guy. Anyway,
Trump,
moving along.
listen, Trump is way more self-centered. He'll sell anybody out for himself, his own kids.
But at the end of this fucking statement, I'm getting off. I'm
But
moving on.
all of this system has just got to go. And it starts with what the great thing about 2023 has been. It's been the year of the strike. I'll tell you that. I looked it up on the Chinese zodiac. It's the year of the strike, and there have been so many strikes happening this year that I don't even feel like we could have ever covered it. In fact, there was one survey that said work days, not like at physical days, but the amount of workday time since the early 80s, we have not had strikes that accumulated more loss of work days for corporations than this year.
Oh,
4,
wow.
4.5 million days of work was lost with all the strikes that happened, which
Wow.
I'm proud of us. But if you look at, so real quick, well, I remember most of it. What happened with these strikes? Well,
Yeah.
they didn't specify with the writers in this article, but they said I think they like almost doubled their pay. The UAW got a 25% raise. UPS got a minimum for everybody part-time 21. They got a 750.
So, so do
No,
you either of you guys actually have any real job skills?
Bobby, I'm unemployable,
Or to,
bro. What do you think I'm doing right now?
yeah, no. Bobby, we're just
What do you
we're
do? I bet he's like
no, don't
oh,
bet. Don't bet.
he's
Let him answer. Bobby, what do you do?
no, I
What's
want to
your
say
actual real job
he's a
skills?
retired military underwater welder who who,
Do you know
who
how hard that is, by
train,
the way?
trains what?
Do you know how hard it is to underwater weld?
Yeah, no,
You work
in
in
the
the
public
public
sector.
sector. What a specific answer. I am so that tells me all I need to know. Anyway,
He's
I don't
exhausting.
I
Um,
I'm not
well,
being a dick. I just think it's funny. But yes, I have actual job skills. Let's move on to today in history, Robbie.
yeah, do it. What do you got?
1993, the movie. This is going to upset Bobby Rizzo. 1993, the movie Philadelphia premiered.
Do
I'm ignoring this guy. What are your
I love
actual
it.
job skills? I'm
I
not
can
gonna.
do. Hold on, no, Bobby. I do 13 push-ups. I can yell at a pretty high rate. I don't like to job, so take that off. Jog. I'm a good manager of personalities. Sarcasm, rate that pretty high. I dropped out of high school once. It took me 5 years to graduate, and that's really it. You can list yours in the comments. Oh, complaining. I'm very good at that, Bobby. Bobby, what are you like, 16?
I don't know who Bobby is. Bobby, if you subscribe to my channel at Ample Thought, I don't care what you comment on. You can comment as much as you want on any of them. I will list my job skills.
I
And
love the
he's
people
44.
that are 44 are like, "Oh, you're for a union?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're working to get you a raise too, buddy." My favorite are the people who they're all anti-union, anti this, and they don't realize you're against your neighbors. If you're anti-union, you don't want people to do better because what unions do is they improve working conditions, get people raises. That's all the stats I was going into. They help the working class. So, yes, I am working to get you a raise. And this is where it's like it's dumb. You can just Google this stuff. Google what happens when unions are in town. It forces all companies. Well, look at the UAW, Bobby. Do you know what the UAW is? The United Auto Workers. They had a big strike. Okay. And what happened was they got a 25% raise. And then companies like Hyundai and other non unionized companies had to give their workers raises because this thing that you guys like to call the free market demanded that, oh, we have to kind of meet those. Uh, Bobby, how long you been in a union?
I mean, again, I hope it goes back and forth. I don't mind it. Honestly, this is the most interaction that we've had with anybody watching.
No,
Um,
I love because this is the kind of stuff where
this
people
is
don't
your
understand
wheelhouse, Rob.
they're
Yeah.
they're fighting against them. They're fighting against themselves, and that's all it is. And when they usually go, oh, it's corrupted, it's this, they fail to recognize what's happening in real time. And that's what I'm saying. Like Bobby, it's very easy. I don't know if you know how to work Google. You're 44. I would hope you do. But just look up the UAW raises and Hyundai. Just put that in your Google browser.
Don't
It will explain
insult.
it to you.
Don't insult. I mean, we got to
It's
take
not.
the.
Listen, some people
No,
don't
no,
know
no,
how to
no.
use Google. That's not an
He's been in
insult.
2 unions. He doesn't like it. He thinks that it holds
But
down the wages of the rest of the workers. Sheet metal workers, amazing. Teamsters. You know who also did
I
that?
would
My uncle. My uncle did that till almost the day he died.
I would
Uh,
listen. I was just with the Teamsters the other day, and that's the funniest part. It's like it's easy to say all this stuff in comments. It's very easy and convenient. But my point is not how you feel, Bobby. Again, a lot of this is like how he feels, and this is always the funniest thing dealing with these people. They're like, it's dead weight. And I'm like, okay, show me a stat. Show me a stat where like you can prove whatever you're saying. And they don't. They always feel like this. They always
You
have
were
a
getting to a good point,
feeling.
though, about United Auto Workers. I know the steel workers. My uncle was in the union for 30 years. I definitely know the Teamsters, another person who was in it for 20 years. I also know pipe fitter unions. I know actor unions. I know writer unions. I know sound guilds that are through Hollywood. Um, I mean, we don't need to go into it, but the main point that I think Rob was getting to was we know and have seen over the course of time, and you could say that union membership has declined over the years, and that is true. But I want you to know why. The reason why is because the corporate entities at the top have dissuaded people from joining unions because they know that their bottom dollar, if they don't want to pay their workers a reasonable wage, have pushed against unions. It doesn't matter if it's Walmart or Target or any of these places, Starbucks, Apple, uh, Amazon. It does not help. And if it helped their workers, they would not do it. If it helped their stock portfolios, if it helped their stockholders, then they would do it. It's as simple as that. There are many things we can go into, but I have seen wage increases. Rob has seen wage increases. The idea that it is holding down workers is ridiculous. It has never been the case, and it won't ever be the case as long as unions can continue in one way or another. So,
Hey, listen, well said. I applaud that. That's better than I could put it. And before we move on, I just want to point out to Bobby, you're saying dead weight is like that's some fucking statistic. Like you understand, Bobby, you keep saying dead weight.
Yeah,
That's
describe
not a
dead
thing.
weight.
That's not a thing. Like I can't Google union dead weight and go, yes, they waste 14 kilotons of dead weight every year. These unions are spending too much money on dead weight. Like, buddy, just come with something other than your feelings, and not
There,
right now because we're not going to keep talking about this, but just in your discourse from now on with other people when you talk to them, instead of saying like, well, I feel like they spend too much on dead weight, and people are like, really, get specific, and you're like, the dead weight, the weight
right.
that is dead. Like nobody can address that because what is dead weight, Bobby? Just something you thought up? Is it an actual measurement? Is and this I mean, it's like it's so dumb we can't address it. I would love
Well,
to if you
the,
gave any. No,
right.
it's
I was
dumb.
just
Listen,
going
I'm
to
not.
say,
Listen, hold on. I'm not the teacher that's going to tell you there's like no dumb people, just dumb questions. I'm going to tell you like what you're saying is very dumb, and it's all about how you feel. You're not saying like
you
here's where
sound
the
very emotional, but he's made what 19, 21, 25 comments so far about
how do you
what it
see the
is.
number?
I
Okay.
am
Anyways,
emotional. I am emotional about people who either are incapable of changing their minds, because I've heard the unions busting argument for years. Um, I mean, I've answered every question that you have. Have you been in a union? Yes. How old are you? What work skills do you have? Like all this. I mean, if you want to talk about projection, fine. Like we can have that
well,
conversation
it's
another
just
time. But
dumb. Well,
because
that's
you're
the thing.
dead
I
weight
would.
yourself,
Well,
exactly.
that's what I mean. It's like I would love to have some kind of dialogue, but I can't address the dead weight statistics. I just don't know what the dead weight is. Um, we'll just assume you're right, Bobby. I'm sure a lot of people probably say that to you. Okay, Bobby, you're right.
You
So
win.
listen,
You win, Bobby.
this
You're
day
right.
in history, Philadelphia was remarkable because um, who fucking released that song? Was it Springsteen? The Streets of
Yes,
Philadelphia?
Springsteen. Yep.
He was way out of his range on that song. That was not a song.
What do you mean?
Did you like that song? My mom loved Bruce Springsteen, and that song was everywhere in 1993, 94, 95. I think it still comes on when you go grocery shopping. And that song, that is not a Bruce Springsteen song.
It's not a typical Bruce Springsteen song, but you could
To
say
my
the
point.
same thing about the Stranglers with like um what was that Golden Brown, the song about heroin. It's been done, redone, and put in a million different shows. Anyway, there are bands who do different things. Like people say Fuel is like the ultimate Metallica song, and I'm like, dude, no, please don't take anything from Load or Reload as the best Metallica song ever. People do things that are different. It's fine. I like that song. I liked it when it came out. I think it was mild mannered, let's just say, of Bruce. But I think it was a good song construction.
I'll just say it fit the movie. What else happened today in history? What else
Okay.
happened?
Well, I'm gonna go. Well, I want to hit something bad so that we can go to at least a few other good things. 2012, Newton, Connecticut, mass shooting. Adam Lanza. He killed 20 kids and then himself, or he was killed. I can't remember. Or
Was
I'm
that
sorry, killed 28 people at Sandy Hook.
yeah. Oh, 28? Because I just
Yeah,
watched on YouTube, Frontline just released the Uvalde piece they did.
yeah.
I was fucking in tears. I had to like pause
It's
it and just
horrible. It's
it
horrible.
is so and when you watch like the interviews and the timeline of I don't want to go into it,
The
but it is
cops
on
and all that. Yeah.
yeah, it is on
Or
YouTube.
sheriff's office.
Well, no, it was sheriff's office, I believe the Rangers,
FBI. Yeah, everybody.
it was, and that was the other heartbreaking part. It was like watching
Oh
that
my
many
God,
people.
dude. Uvalde shooter was not
No,
LGBTQ.
we're not even
Stop.
gonna we're not even
Fucking
gonna
stop,
address him.
dude.
This is one of them
It's
dudes where
ridiculous. Why?
like
Why even say that? You
because
like you. Either you know that's not true,
they do.
or you're not educated enough to know. You haven't researched it or whatever. Look at it again. He wasn't an LGBTQ shooter. That was a report that came out the day of, and guess who by? It was by Newsmax, OAN, and Fox.
Oh, really?
Everybody the next 2 days,
The-
everybody the next 2 days were like, was he LGBT? Was he LGBT? Was she LGBT? We want to make sure we're using the right pronouns, they all said. I didn't give a fuck who it was
Listen,
because it's true. That's why I said it. Okay, whatever, dude.
well, this is listen.
It's
When I
fucking
said earlier,
ridiculous. I
the
don't
whole
care if somebody was LGBTQ, white, black. For people on the right who bitch and complain about fucking identity politics, you are so quick to fucking point out who's doing what, when, how old they are, what race they are, what religion they are, all of it. I'm fucking tired of it, dude. It's boring and it's fucking intellectually dishonest at best and
well,
shitty at
listen.
worst.
All he's trying to do is goad
Dangerous
you
at
right
worst.
now. Well, he's just
Well,
trying
you
to
got
goad you.
me.
This
You
is
got
like the
me.
whole. This is the whole game. Let me cut. Because listen,
Damage control. Jesus fucking Christ, this guy.
Okay, so
God
hold
damn,
on,
dude.
real quick. Um,
You got
if
me.
if people want to watch that Frontline, I believe it's just the Frontline YouTube channel.
Okay.
They just released it within the past week, so it's very recent. You could Google it. Should be one of the first videos. I highly recommend it because it's a powerful piece and it's you have to just, trigger warning. It is one of those things where if you're a parent, it's very hard to endure. In fact, I didn't even finish it. But that was, I think they said, the second worst because there were 20 people or something. And, that's the horrifying thing is we're talking about 11 years ago, so nothing's changed. Now, did you have any other this day in history? Because I want to talk a little more
I have
about.
two more, and I'm going to be
Okay.
quick, and then I want to talk about what we didn't get to in 2023. But
Yeah.
George Washington. Let's see what Bobby does
Oh,
with this one.
yeah. No. I know this one. Go.
George Washington died on today's date in 1799. Thought that was interesting.
And there was all this like, I don't know if you have ever heard, but they were like, oh, he emancipated and freed all his slaves upon his death. You didn't hear that? Oh, I had heard that for years and years, but it turns out he didn't, and he like willed his slaves to his wife, I believe, and then she was supposed to be able to emancipate them upon his death. Imagine like how, again, taking the context that it's in, but that's like so fun. You're like, you're dying, bro. Just let us the fuck go. And he's like, not till my wife kicks it. Like, you couldn't be a bigger dick. And I'm saying that about George Washington. Take that. What the Washingtons? What's your other one?
1979, The Clash, the punk band The Clash,
Oh,
released London Calling.
you know what was cool? I don't know if you went through this with your kids, but when my son was, I want to say 3, he discovered Queen. And I say discovered because for him it was like this moment. But it just came on in like the playlist. You know what I mean? And even at that,
His bicycle.
listen, Fat Bottom Girls and Bicycle and what's the other like catchy one like that? But like the real,
or something.
yeah. That came on and this kid would not let me shut Queen off. I mean, for weeks. It was such, and it was so fascinating. But I remember, like, when I had first heard these songs, you were like, "What? How? What is this? What genre? Like, what is he doing?"
What is it? Yeah.
So, I mean, that stuff's cool because you have a whole new generation that maybe will check out the Clash now because we mentioned that and discover these new bands. So those were the two. Now for 2023, did you have some big hits? Because there were some things that I feel if we had more time, we could totally dive into. And if we were doing this at the time that these went out, like the biggest one for me is all the I don't want to just say Prince Harry, but all the royalty in the UK. And this has been over the past couple of years, but in January, Prince Harry sat down with Anderson Cooper. Again, that video is on YouTube. I highly suggest you watching it because it's fascinating. But in that, he talks about some weird stuff. Like going and requesting the pictures of the crash that his mother was in and how horrific that was. But then he also talks about his dad, Charles, who is the king now, and marrying Camilla, which I didn't
Yeah.
follow this too much, but when I watched the interview, I was like, don't all these people kind of like marry their family? Like, isn't that how royalty works? And when I Googled it, guess who Camilla is to the king? The Guess who the woman?
The
Uh,
consort? Is that what you meant? The
no, the
king's
king,
consort?
King George married.
Oh,
Is his name George?
yeah. No. You mean Prince George, the
Yeah.
child?
No. The who's the king right now? Is his name George?
Charles.
Charles. That's it. They all have George Charles. It's some like bland as f white person name. So King Charles. That's who I meant. He married Camilla, right? And in that interview, he talks all about how he didn't want him to get married XYZ.
I'm sorry, I gotta go back to Rizzo. Hold on. You said Harry is the most pathetic royal since Longshanks' son. I'm guessing. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bobby. You saw Braveheart, and you think that Longshanks' son was just like him in the movie. Oh my
Bra-
god, he does! This is
Braveheart.
hilarious.
Braveheart
Yes.
was a documentary. How dare you, sir?
Oh my god.
It was loosely reenacted. Um, by the way, there's a couple of really good.
That is true. He was killed by shoving hot pokers up his butt. That is true. I don't need to look it up. I know it.
There's a few good time period pieces, uh, like about Robert the Bruce and all these other cats that were around during um, that time on Netflix, I
Yes.
believe, right now. If you want to watch them, I can't rattle off the titles. I didn't look it up. There's something the King. They're all like Outlaw King, this King, that King, but they're really fascinating pieces if you haven't seen them. So, anyways, listen, the Prince Harry thing, right? He kept talking about how he didn't like Camilla, the dude Charles married, the lady Charles, yeah, the woman Charles the King married. That's his second cousin.
Yes.
And Camilla, you knew this?
Yeah, I've known this since I was a kid.
Jesus. I assumed all that was like ripping on them, like they're the deep south of Europe. You know what I mean? I
Camilla
had
is the reason that, I mean, part of the reason anyway, why Diana and Charles separated. She was already around way back in the day. This is the late 80s, early 90s. Well, late 80s, really. When she sat down with Barbara Walters, I think it was, with her and Charles. And it was known who Camilla was. And yeah, without getting too much into that, Harry has known Camilla his whole life, basically.
hey,
Literally his whole life.
yeah, well, so some trivia for you. Do you remember the Halloween costume that got Harry in trouble?
Yeah. Nazi uniform at a club in London, South London. Yeah.
Yo, the pictures of that are absolutely nuts, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember those? Some people might be too young to remember this. I forget what year it happened in, but these these photos of this dude,
He was like 19. Yeah.
still, I mean, listen,
Eight,
this one of those
18 or
things
19.
where I'm like, yo, what what was he thinking? Like he might as well have done a Justin Trudeau blackface, you know? Some of these people are just absolutely nuts. So I had no idea that like he talks about Camilla the last half of the interview, and the whole time I'm like, yo, what's this do so bad? And I'm like, oh, because Camilla's his aunt. Now it's aunt mom, aunt stepmom. I'm like, oh, that is so gross. Hey, so I don't want to go into that one. The other thing that happened this year, which I thought was fascinating, and it's also one of the words that I believe
Oh,
the
no, not
just hear me out. Just hear me
All
out.
right, go ahead.
Nepo baby. That became
Oh,
like a no, but it like officially became a thing. There was always like talk of nepotism, and I don't know if Nepo baby really developed before this year like it did come into the culture. But
yeah, I
this
think
was the
so.
year where if you remember Haley Bieber, I think her
I
name
was
is
going to
now.
say all the celebrities' kids. Yeah.
But she's the one who printed the t-shirt. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. So she kind of owned it, which I thought was brilliant. Like, to me, if you're gonna get called that, and we'll get into Gwyneth Paltrow in a minute, you just own it.
No, you don't have to.
No, no, no. I want to, because it's fascinating what Gwyneth Paltrow did, as opposed to. And did you know? I didn't know that she was Stephen Baldwin's daughter. Can you read that? It says
I
Nepo
can't.
baby. Oh,
No.
it just says Nepo baby, and the shirt probably costs like
Wait,
$5,000.
I have a funny Stephen Baldwin thing.
I
Do you
love Stephen
remember
Baldwin.
when it was like kind of new? It was on the same time as Twitter, like 2011, 2012, but it was like a Scrabble game that you would play with words with friends. Do you remember
Yeah,
that whole thing?
yeah, yeah.
So I'm
That
playing
was
one day.
huge. That was
It was
huge. Why did
huge.
that die?
So I'm playing one day and I get a request from Stephen Baldwin. And I'm like, whatever. It says Stephen Baldwin. So I add the person. I start playing with Stephen Baldwin. I'm playing with Stephen Baldwin for like a month. And then he's like, hey, do you want to join my Facebook page or my Twitter page or whatever it was? And I was like, sure, what is it?
Oh, like a fan page on Facebook.
It was a fan page. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
his actual freaking page. And he shouted me out saying, hey, my Scrabble buddy is here, or my Words with Friend buddy is here on his page or on his Twitter account or whatever. Because I gave him so much crap saying, I mean, dude, you don't have to say you're Stephen Baldwin. Like, it's not
That's
necessary. Like, I don't care. And he was like, no, man, it's really me. Like, I don't care if you believe me or not, but you know, here's a picture. And I was like, what the hell? Like, why is this person pretending to be Stephen Baldwin? And it was freaking him. I thought it was
well,
so funny.
well.
Anyway,
The funny thing is that you like called. You were like, you don't have to pretend, because this is the day and age, especially around that time, where like catfishing was like the thing. Like everybody was catfishing.
we're in prison. I have a lot of tats, and it's not because of prison. Sorry, that was it.
Yeah, Dwayne Johnson. I can't stand that dude. Um. Oh, so Haley Bieber owned it, right? Bieber. That's
Yeah.
what. Speaking of the Baldwins, Alec Baldwin's character in 30 Rock, Jack Donaghy. That's how he calls. That's how he says the Bieber last name. He goes Justin Bieber. So, and by the way, after I mention this, let's rate the Baldwins, favorite to least. Okay. I really
Okay.
want to. I really want to do that. So Gwyneth Paltrow came out right this year
Okay.
and was livid about it. And the best part is she called it. She said she didn't like the Nepo baby name, and she said it's an ugly moniker. Right. The reason that strikes me so funny is because if you paid attention over this summer and you watched, because they live streamed it, it was like everywhere, but you could watch it on YouTube. If you watched the testimony before Congress of Howard Schultz, the billionaire, um, former CEO, now just board member of Starbucks. That's who Howard Schultz is, if you're unaware. And he was dragged before Congress because all of the disgusting union busting and retaliation he was doing to his workers, the people that make him money. Um, and at one point, with him and Bernie Sanders and someone else, they kept referring to him as a billionaire, just saying simply that he was a billionaire. And he stopped the thing, which they in fact at one point had to be like, you can't keep talking, just shut up. Bernie said something much more polite, but he was like, I am upset at this moniker of billionaire that you keep calling me. And it was
Hmm.
so funny that he stopped this in front of this live audience to get upset at the thing he is. Like, this
Yeah.
wasn't, you know, some lavish or some ridiculous title, or so. It was just how you can equate the money he has. Like, if someone called me a $10 heir, I would be like, very accurate,
Yeah.
like a negative 100 heir, an overdraft fee heir. I'm okay with it. That's right where I am. But he, just like Paltrow, took on this ugly moniker battle and decided to fight it, which not the smartest move, because if anything, you're telling the audience what not to call you. And what's the
Yes.
funniest thing in the world is to call them what they don't want to be called. So
Robbie
please,
was talking about Tim Pool. He was asking if we're wearing the beanies to rip off Tim Pool.
duh.
Um,
They say
Bobby, if you,
bite your inspirations, and Tim Pool. I mean, I'm trying to go bald too. I can't do it. I'm really trying to bald, Bobby.
I got the gray going.
I'm guessing Bobby's a big Tim Pool fan, which makes a lot of sense. You know,
No,
those
he said, how can I respect a grown ass man that wears a beanie all the time? See, the difference is Rob does wear a beanie all the time. If
all
you've
the time.
seen any other episodes of this, I'm always wearing a hat, either my Dodgers hat or other hats. I'm not going to go through it, but um, I got to wrap this up soon, Robbie. I
Oh yeah, you
apologize. We
got
got
6 minutes.
started. We got started super late, but
Well,
let
listen,
me get.
Bobby, I have to because if you go watch the last live stream, I don't have heat at my house, so you could see my breath on the live stream. So I just have to wear like fleece pants. Usually I'm in a sweatshirt, but my brother just got me this shirt, so I was really excited. Hold on, let me back up.
Love it.
Right. So my brother just got me that. No, I can't afford oil. I'm sorry. I just work for a living and can't afford oil, but yep.
Don't worry about him.
All
Okay,
right.
I'm going to go through a few things. One, did you know that India surpassed China as the world's most populated country? 1.74 billion people. That's crazy.
And if you want a good podcast, real quick, because you're talking about this, a guy who discusses all of this, he's a really respected professor. His name is Professor Wolf. I believe it's Richard Wolf. Um,
Dick
go find.
Wolf, really?
Uh,
Law and Order, Dick Wolf? Come
no, not
on, what are you
not him,
doing?
not him. Um,
Oh, okay.
but he has a podcast called Economic Update where he talks about the economy of the world, what's going on. Highly respected. He has one on YouTube.
I do know who you're talking about. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Okay. He's just, and listen, if you want, because what he does is take like the complicated things that the banks and the financial people and the investors want to pretend like it's too above you, you would never understand. He basically boils those down into Richard Wolf. Yeah. Right. Oh, no.
Didn't we say
Oh,
Richard Wolf?
no,
We
no, no.
did
I
say
thought he was
Richard
correcting
Wolf.
me. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Richard Wolf. Because
It is.
listen, find him on YouTube too. He's spectacular. But that's all I wanted to say. Economic Update is the podcast.
Yeah, he's often a guest, or at least I don't know if it's on the public one, but at the Economic Forum.
Yeah.
He certainly knows what he's talking about. So, the Tankies economist of choice. Okay, I don't know what that means. Um, Random trivia. I gave you an idea. Who is the longest living head of state the world has ever known?
Obama.
Elizabeth II.
What? What?
Elizabeth II. That's
Oh,
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was going to
Hey,
say
let me
more,
hold on.
but
No, no, no. Let's stay in that realm. Let me ask you a trivia because I was just trying to figure this out earlier.
okay.
What what is Prince Harry's last name?
It's like seven things. Mountbatten, Windsor,
Oh, wait. How
whatever.
did you? Technically, you're wrong. And they
I don't
showed
care.
no, no, no. But well, you're right. But they said technically he doesn't have a last name because it's a title. So
Right,
it's whatever his title is, the Prince of da 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 da. And they
right.
just neglected that what you said, which is truly his last name.
No, has a birth certificate. I've seen the long form birth certificate that has all the. It's not one middle name. It's like seven middle names. Like Harold. Not Harold because it's Henry. Henry. Richard. Edward.
Wolf.
Mountbatten. Wolf. Richard. Whatever. Okay. Um.
Henry Dick Wolf, Mountbatten, Windsor.
Cool. Um. Here's one for you. What was John Wayne's first name?
Oh, like Caroline or something?
Close. It sounds like that. Yeah.
Yeah, what is it? No, because it's
Marion.
that's it. Yes, thank you. I'm like, it's something right along those lines. All right, did you have another one? Because I don't have my notes.
Let me think of one. Let me think of a fun one.
Oh my God.
Let me think of a fun one in a minute. Um, I'm going to give you a quick questionnaire, a combination of the actors studio uh, from our old friend Will Ferrell's version of, let's just say Will Ferrell for the actor studio, James
Yeah.
Lipton. I'm
Fuck
just being
James
silly.
Lipton. No, actually, he was
Um,
great. Is he dead?
and then, yes, I think he did die. And if
Oh,
he isn't dead,
geez.
ooh, he should be. Pretty sure he is. And then the Stephen Colbert questionnaire. So, Robbie, what is the best sandwich?
You know what? I want to say a Monte Cristo, um,
Ooh,
but if it's done wrong, it's horrible because you have to have them with is it brambleberry? There's some kind of it's a funny berried name. I don't think it's just blackberry, but it's like this mix. Um, and if you get a good one of those, there's nothing better than a Monte Cristo with powdered sugar on top and the sauce on the side for real. What would yours be? Let's see if you could beat that.
a Reuben.
A Reuben?
Fuck yes. A Reuben. Now, the only thing that has ever beaten for a Reuben for me, there's a very famous place in LA called Jerry's Famous Deli. And one time, when I was 17, I snuck out of the house and I went there and I got a $20 sandwich. And that sandwich was a French toast peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And it was so goddamn decadent. I probably should have had a heart attack at 17 years old. It was two Texas toast sized pieces of French
French
toast,
bread? Yeah, or French
French
toast.
bread, the thickest layer of crunchy peanut butter you've ever seen in your life, followed by a thick, just gooey preserves, strawberry, boysenberry, and raspberry jelly, all smothered with tons of maple syrup
Any powdered
and
sugar?
powdered sugar, of course.
Okay,
Yes.
I was gonna
So
say.
now, apples or oranges?
Oh, that's tough. I would do apples with salt on them. But hey, real quick about the sandwich. Have you ever been to Rutgers in New Jersey? The college.
I don't think so.
They
What?
have a like sorority fraternity row. So my cousin
Mm,
went there, and I got to visit at one point, and they have these sandwich trucks. This was back in the 90s, so I don't know if it's still
mm,
there. And these sandwich trucks would not just sell you like regular subs. It was, let's say you wanted a chicken parm sub. So they would do a
mhm.
chicken parm sub with like lasagna on it, and like they would do like an entire Italian meal on a sub. I got one that was chicken fingers, French fries, onion rings, uh, and there were a couple other things all in a sub. The sub was like this big, and it was the most. I'm not saying it was the most delicious, but I just felt like eating an entire lunch wrapped in bread would easily kill you at an early age. And they were selling it to all the college kids. Like every food truck had a different kind of version of like a meal in a sub, and it was nuts.
Well, okay, so since we're on that subject, I'll just leapfrog to another one.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
is your favorite sandwich chain?
I hate to say this because I know they don't treat their workers good. In fact, there was a story today about how they're forcing their workers to buy their own clothing to go to work. But Chick-fil-A, there's not a
Oh,
better chicken sandwich you can get outside of Church's Chicken. Where I lived in San Diego, there was a Church's Chicken like 2 blocks away. When my wife was pregnant, we would go there for the chicken fingers and the honey biscuits. But
mhm.
I haven't had that in so long, I couldn't tell you if it beats Chick-fil-A, and I did not know that they brine their chicken in pickle juice. That's how they make the
I did
sandwich.
not know that. Oh my
My
gosh.
brother's worked in the restaurant industry forever, and he knows all the little secrets because you can. And here's the weird thing: I usually buy two chicken sandwiches, right?
Yeah.
And I'll eat one there because I can't wait because it's a fat bastard. Just I gotta gobble it, and then I take one and I put it in the fridge and I eat it that night because it's almost better cold.
I know what you mean. Yes, I've had that. Mine is Jimmy John. How long have you been a couple? How many episodes have we done now?
I could not tell you.
I think
I just really
seven
could.
or eight. 7 or 8. But
Like I
we're
thought it
not a
was
couple.
October earlier today when I was talking to somebody. So okay, so just lay off.
Rob is happily married. I am more than happily married. Rob might be more than happily married, but I'm happily married as well. Um, I mean, we do have a little bit of a got a little crush going on, but that's fine. That's in this LGBTQ world, everything's topsy
You
turvy.
could
Know
do
what I
whatever
mean,
you want.
Bobby?
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, you know what?
So
And that's hold on real quick, because you made that comment, and this is part of the thing I was writing the other day. I was like, how funny is it that in the land of the free, they really don't want you to do certain things? Like, hey, we are the freest country ever, and they fought for our freedoms, but you're not allowed to get married. You're not allowed to do that with your body. You're not allowed. I'm like, does anybody see the irony?
The Lord is okay with certain things. Like you can have shellfish now. That's an Old Testament thing. But you gotta cut off the end of your penis
I
when you're
have to.
born. That's
Or Jesus
one.
hates you. Yep.
You can wear leather. That's fine. But these gays,
Mm-mm.
they've had it too good for
For
too
too
long.
long. Listen, Jesus built America with his own two hands. You can see his signature on the Declaration of Independence.
Everybody knows it started in Alabama. He
We know
wasn't
it.
some whatever this Jerusalem slash
The
I don't know
Nazarene.
Nazarene. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Nazarene.
Jesus
Um,
was a good old boy from Kentucky. He played some banjo in Nashville. He went down the Mississippi and then founded the country with his working boots on.
come here. Say
What was
hi.
your
Oh,
oh, puppies? I can't let my dog in here because she's just gonna be a jerk to me.
okay. Oh, sweet Jesus.
There they go. Oh, you probably got to go. Wait, so what was your
Yeah,
last
I do
question?
have to go.
And actually,
Um,
I'm gonna go too. I was gonna stay on, but I got. That's the other thing I wanted to promote real quick. I've been working for over a week on this video. Or no, no, no. What day is it? Jesus, like 4 days. Sorry, I've been working for
okay.
4 days trying to get this next video, which I was hoping to have it out tomorrow, but honestly, I don't I don't know. But it's a response to uh Russell Brand's latest video, though I made a listen.
What? What
I'm
did he do?
well, he no, it might not be his latest because he releases like every day, but I made a video about Russell Brand
Hey.
and where he sat on the political spectrum a while ago, and
Okay.
I peek in on what he's doing from time to time, and he's just continued to like trickle farther and farther down this alt right, freedom loving hole. Yeah, and yes, I do mean a freedom loving hole. Uh, but then a couple days ago, 3, 4 days ago, he released a video that was just fucked. No other way to
Really?
put it. Very selective history, very pandering to an extremist audience. And all this stuff that I had kind of been collecting on him, I said, now's the time. I'm going to write this video. So I think I got the scripture I want, but I'm going to release, and it's going to be a longer video. It's not going to be like a 2 minute thing. So I just want to promote that. If anybody's watching, make sure you subscribe, because I'm hoping that this will be funny enough to also entertain. I mean, to inform people. So, and then what were you going to wrap with? Did you have anything for?
A few things. Well, two things. Well, I'll make it real quick. You got to answer quickly. Back to actor studio. What is your favorite smell?
Because you know how babies smell. I mean,
Yep.
but I got
Top
babies
of a
on the brain.
baby's head. Top
Yeah,
of a
listen,
baby's head. Yep.
my brother just had baby Charlie
No,
is the
I said
most.
quick answer. We're moving along. What's
Yeah,
your favorite word?
fuck. Or
Cuss word, but yeah, that's a good one.
oh, was that a
Yeah,
different question?
it was
I'm
a different
sorry.
question. That's fine. That's good. No, that's good. What do you wish if God exists? What do you want to hear him say when you show up in heaven or
Well,
wherever it is?
she does exist, and she's a
Oh,
black woman.
oh,
Uh,
she is a black woman. Oh
yeah.
boy.
And my wife got me a
Uh,
T-shirt that says "I met God and she is black," and I love wearing that everywhere. Um, I would want her to tell me uh, that whatever I did, it made some ripples and it helped some people. That's it. That it helped my children, that it made tomorrow better. That's the biggest thing that it really irks me about what's happening today in our culture. And I'm going to make this quick. But when I was growing up, I heard from the older generation that certain things were very tough. Like my dad would be like, "My father never hugged me. I want to make sure I hug you." He would be like, "We only shook hands." It was very inappropriate, or he felt, and the way he was raised, it was inappropriate to hug. And he told me this, and he said, "I'm going to go out of my
Mm,
way. I want to make sure I can hug you. We have a different relationship." But wider than that, there was like a generation of older folks, men and women, that helped raise me, and they always talked about wanting it better for the younger kids. And I continually hear in today's culture, across the spectrum of people and political agendas and whatever, that they're like, well, if I had to pay off my student loans, you should have to. And listen, that's just one of them. But it all equates, and this is how I hear it every time they say it, is I don't care like what you're fighting for. It was hard for me. It should be hard for you. And that
exactly.
bugs me because anyone that becomes a parent isn't immediate thought is like, oh, I hope this baby has it a much tougher time than I do growing up.
Right.
Like you don't want that. And I feel like that sentiment is gone. And people don't even hear themselves when they say the student loan one is the easiest. And I always equate it to like, oh, so if they came out with a cure for cancer, would you be like, my mom died of cancer? You shouldn't be able to not die.
Absolutely. Well,
And
it's a little bit of a false equivocation. I certainly get that. However, the point still needs to be made that if you are coming from a place of, I mean, really, that's a victimhood. Let's go back to Bobby loving the idea of victimization. Somebody is identifying as a victim. I had to pay my student loans. Why can't you Neanderthals who are too lazy to get off of your sofa with your bonbons? You should pay back your loans. Now, what they're ignoring in a lot of that is obviously in 1980, the average cost of a 4 degree or a 4 year college degree was about $28,000 across the board. That's across the board. Best schools in the nation, least schools in the nation. Now, that number is $195,000 for a 4 year degree from the same schools. Some others have come up, but mainly community colleges. Nothing as big as Harvard or Princeton or Stanford or Rutgers or UPenn. I could go on and on. And it's not just liberal colleges. So I've heard every argument, but the stats don't lie, the numbers don't lie. If somebody is saying, I paid back my loans for $25,000, why can't you pay back your loan for $400,000? Well, we don't get paid the same.
yeah, just look at I love
You own a house. You owned a house at 25 years old. You weren't even in the military. I was in the military, and it still took me until I was 38 years old to use my, well, mine was a post 9/11 GI Bill, but a GI Bill nonetheless, to buy my first house. Um, the world is not the same. These people who talk about make America great again, who want to go back to place, every single time, they don't say, I want to go back to 2011. They don't say I want to go back to 2015. They say I want to go back between 1920
yeah,
and 1980.
the good old
Now,
days.
right, 1920 to 1980. I'm trying to think. Oh, right. My mom was only able to have a credit card 4 years before that. 4 years before that, 1980. So 1976, pretty much again across the board, women were allowed to have credit cards
Talk
without
about
their
the
husband's
GI Bill and
permission.
how many Black Americans were just unafforded the rights that they had fought for. You know,
Right. And then somebody on the right will find a cherry picked version of, look at this young man from Long Beach. He owned a house from the GI Bill in 1959. He is obviously the avatar for what all Black people were going through in 1959. So, um,
hey, have
yeah,
you seen real quick? Have you seen because specifically what you're talking about in the '80s? Have you seen the meme that they made of like the Simpsons home? And they say like, in 19
no.
whatever 88 when the Simpsons premiered, you could have just a dad working a job you know, with a whatever it is, a five
Yeah.
person family, and he could afford this home, and it was just a picture of the Simpsons home, and you're like, and it reflected the times. And now, you know, they don't even have. We should make the other half to that meme of like what
Now, in
the.
all fairness, Homer is a nuclear engineer, or at least he was working the operator. Now, to have fun with Bobby Rizzo, just so you know, Bobby Rizzo, you want to ask about my work skills? I went to Naval Nuclear Power Training Command in Goose Creek, South Carolina. I could have had any job that I wanted in the naval nuclear or nuclear field of, you don't know this, but there are several nuclear power plants across this country. I would have made somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000 a year. I have a 4 year degree. I have a 2 year degree, a 4 year degree, and I'm eventually going to get my master's in something. But that's neither the point. Um, I'm just saying that I worked on a submarine for 6 years. I was a nuclear missile technician on a ballistic nuclear submarine, and I've done all kinds of jobs, and I have plenty of job skills that I could share with you another time. I'm not going to get into medical debt and all that stuff, but um, yeah,
Mhm.
Rob has skills as well. Rob is a fairly educated young
I could
man,
do.
an
Oh, I forgot.
intelligent young man.
Put on my resume. I could do almost 3 pull-ups.
Yeah,
How many can
almost
you
three
do?
pull-ups. That's good. No, that's
That's
good.
good.
I
I
I
got some
can't do
cool
any.
stuff. Cool
No,
stuff
I
on my
can't do any.
resume. All right. I
Um,
know you got to go. You stayed late, so we'll just wrap it up. I'm gonna go work on some stuff, anyways. And
Top three favorite
oh,
channels for all of 2023. This is the last thing.
yes, no, we have to do this. You go
You
first.
do it first. You do it first,
Oh,
or we'll go
okay.
one for one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do that. Do that.
Some more news.
Really? We talk about that all the time. I was hoping.
I'm gonna take the first. No, it's seriously of 2023. It has been my favorite channel of my top three. I have two more.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay, so if you have not seen James Rewald, this guy is a young kid who does amazing work. I'm just gonna play a minute.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
I don't
Okay.
want to play too much because I don't know if that's copyright material or whatever. But James Rewald, Rehwald, he doesn't make much, but when he hits something, it is a gem. And he talks about, you know, capitalism and just everything. He's a brilliant, brilliant kid. Keep an eye on him. Next.
Okay, next I have a new just call it a man crush. There's a director, writer, producer named Paul Emerson. Paul Emerson came out with a short, I want to say 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, like right before the pandemic or during. Just look up Paul Emerson on YouTube. He is he has great actor. He has this thing about Chowder. Just watch the very first thing from 4 years ago about Chowder being in Los Angeles. It's hilarious in so many different ways. And he just released a 10 episode thing in this 1980s almost dynasty Dallas style of it, but it's based in Los Angeles and it's just hilarious. And he's
Oh my
so
God.
good at it. And the actresses are so, um, they know what they're doing and they're so good at it. And he
Yeah.
directs it all. He is one of my absolute favorites. So it goes some more news straight to Paul Emerson. Take it away, Rob.
All right. I've told you this, and I'm mad that you didn't watch it. H Bomber guy.
Nah.
Look, I know I'm showing you the video because I want you to watch this. He did a
Okay.
4 hour video on plagiarism and YouTube. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And this he goes through how YouTubers, these video essayists, which is essentially what he is, but
Yes.
this kid is a genius. And the way he dissects these YouTubers who have essentially plagiarized not only smaller writers, but also at points they just read Wikipedia to you and have
Mm-hmm.
garnered these $1 million, I mean, well, $1 million empires on YouTube, but million sub channels. One of
Hmm.
the main focus, the last I'd say 2 hours of this video on plagiarism, is a guy called James Somerton. Which after this video came out, and during the video, H Bomber Guy says, "Delete your channel." Like you've
Hmm.
scammed people, you've ripped off the LGBTQ community, you've
Hmm.
taken other people's work, pawned it off as your own, and within, I think it was within a couple of days, that kid deleted or didn't delete it, but deleted every video on his channel. His channel doesn't
Oh my gosh.
exist. That's how good this video was. So please do yourself. I sent it to my brother, everyone I care about. Okay. Do you hear why I'm telling you this? If I don't care about you, I don't give a shit for you to learn anything. So Bobby, I care about you. I want you to learn about some things, buddy. Um, but so please take some time over this break and watch it. It's 4 hours. You're gonna have to do it in parts. Think about that. It's a 4 hour video on plagiarism. You know how long this must have taken him?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, I have a tied for third three ways. Don't get mad, I'll go quickly.
That's all right.
David Pakman is a progressive political guy. He has this show. It's very much like Brian Tyler Cohen or Sam
Oh,
Cedar
okay.
or whatever. David Pakman. Howard Stern shouted him out at the beginning of this year, saying, "You know what? Of all the people, I really like him the most." So anyway, he's tied for third with a brand new favorite, a girl named I don't know what her name is, but there's a thing called IXI Music, IXI Music. She breaks down some of my favorite songs, Nine Inch Nails, um, uh, God, what was the other one? Massive Attack, some other bands, but mainly Nine Inch Nails, some other good stuff. IXI Music. She knows how to play
Pixie.
piano. She knows IXI. She's very good. And then the third one in that is uh,
Mitt Romney.
no. I've already talked about Oversimplified. I love
Oh yeah.
Oversimplified, but let me go back to Mr. Ballin. So after I got out of the Navy, this guy, Mr. Ballin, went in. He was a SEAL for I think 8 years. It might have been 6 years, but this guy, Mr. Ballin, he talks about the macabre, the mysterious, the dark, the crazy. Former Navy SEAL, I think out of SEAL Team One in California, and it's fascinating. I don't even know how he gets into the detail, but as a storyteller, he is very
He's good.
good.
Yeah.
Mr. Ballin.
All right. I got a tie too in last, but I've told you about Climate Town. I just want to mention them. They're an honorable
Yeah,
mention. They did a
yeah.
lot of work this year. And they do a lot of crossover with other YouTubers, which is awesome because then you learn about like the channel Not Just Bikes.
Right.
Came up on one of theirs. So please check out Climate Town. Um, this dude, so I stumbled upon, I love like church history and historical crossover with religion and like where things come from and like, it's, I don't know, it's a weird fascination of mine. I am ordained, but I was studying all of that stuff and like, the history of the Bible and how things came to be and the church over the years in England and the influence it had once it exploded out of Rome, and even how Rome capitalized on Jesus. They used to crucify people and then all of a sudden they adopted the religion. Why was that? All the way to Halloween and the myths or the folklore you heard of why Halloween is Halloween, All Hallows Eve, uh, Samson. I forget that word.
Solon.
Yes, yes, thank you. He just did a
Solon.
video on that. This guy, but the fascinating thing. So I stumbled upon this channel. He's Ryan Reeves. Okay, check him
Okay.
out. He's a professor, a doctor. My PhD was from Cambridge University. Okay, he is, and his goals are to provide like free information, free education. So he does these in depths. But when I stumbled upon him, uh, it was a couple years ago, and I noticed one of the videos was like 6 years old, and I was like,
Ooh.
oh, I got to go to his channel and catch up, like see what he's doing now. And he had disappeared off YouTube. So I'd watched all his stuff, great historical accuracies and finely detailed information, and I was devastated. And in fact, I left comments on a lot of his videos saying, I wish you would come back. I'm so mad I
Hmm.
found you now.
Hmm.
This year, he returned. and
Yeah.
he has been making videos. That's why I talked about the Halloween one. He says, there's no historical accuracy to where Halloween came from, but he talks about all the blends of what made the American
Mm,
Halloween. So if you just want some good educational information, which I'm a dweeb for when it comes to
yeah.
this kind of stuff, Ryan Reeves, I highly suggest you uh, uh, subscribe to him. But I think I had told you about this one, or maybe I didn't. I just watched this video the other day. This is a big YouTuber. He's got 500,000 subs. He does some crazy stuff. And the reason I found him is because he went to the Juggalo Festival
Mm.
and he took his disabled friend who ended up dying right after. And his last wish was to go to the Juggalo Festival. So he took
Oh
him.
my god.
So that video like hooked me. I was like, I got to find out more about this dude. I went to his channel and he does this video, which I've never seen a YouTuber do it like the way he did. And of course, I'm not going to be able to find it now. I'm so angry.
The Juggalo Festival is where everybody who is a fan of the band ICP or Insane Clown Posse
Yeah, ICP.
goes for a big festival. Just I heard the term Juggalos 20 years ago, and I had no idea what it was until somebody finally said ICP, and I said I don't see any P. What are you talking about? And they said Insane Clown Posse, and I was like, is that a thing? And they said, yeah, it's a whole different style of music. And then it turned out it was just rap rock.
Well, yeah, and they got huge like around 2000 because I was just getting out of high school and people like love the clown makeup. They wear all clown
I
makeup.
was just going to say, if you paint your face any shade of white and black, you will have a huge band.
Yeah.
Just ask Kiss.
Well, and they're fascinating too, because if you follow their hip hop story and their underground movement and their beefs, like they feuded with Eminem, like it, and you can find all this on YouTube. It's just fascinating. I love the hip hop world. So I'll give a shout out to Delray Richardson, who's been covering all of the Tupac stuff. And if you didn't know, Suge Knight has a new podcast out of prison. Collect Call with Suge Knight, which is on YouTube as well. But I wanted to recommend Brandon Buckingham. So the light's gonna. But do you see this video right here? How I became a YouTuber from 0 to 100K subscribers. This is a 43-minute video. I've never seen a YouTuber go in depth as he did with clips and video footage of the proof of like where he came from, how he
Yeah,
did it,
yeah, yeah.
and he starts off. So I found him on the Juggalo video. Thought, oh,
Mhm.
this guy's just a big YouTuber. No idea. Went to his channel. He didn't have like a ton of stuff because he kind of does like that man on the street crazy stunt stuff, which
Mm.
I did that in my 20s for radio stations. I get it. It's not my thing.
Been there, done that.
But I come across this video and he documents leaving teaching. He was like a fourth grade teacher and his younger brother died at like 20 something. And that he was like, what am I going to do with my life? Like everybody plans for 10 years down the road. And he was like, I might
Yeah.
not have tomorrow.
Yeah.
And he left his job and went into YouTube, but it didn't work out like he thought, just like everyone who does YouTube and thinks like, oh, I just got to hit my stride and then I'll be there. In fact, he hits his stride like 6 different times and totally like bombs. And it's the
Ooh.
weird,
Is interesting.
it's the most accurate description of the YouTube journey for whoever's on here, whether you're in the comments or you're trying to do it. I wrote like 3 comments on this thing because I was like, thank you so much. This was so well thought out and such an insight because now he's got 500,000 subs. And
Yeah.
essentially, if you saw his latest video, you'd be like, oh, he's a big YouTuber. He's always been like that. And he documents like how he got double crossed by YouTubers who he was trying to collab with, how
Ooh.
he would have these videos that would get 1 million views. And he was like, I'm good, I'm there. And then the next 6 videos flopped.
Yeah.
It if you are doing this, you have to watch this video because
Hmm.
it will just help you and it will re-inspire you. And that's what he says. He's like, I'm here to just tell you, if you believe in yourself, if this is what you want to do, you have to just chase it. And I was like, yo, that is so rad because most YouTubers don't give you that kind of background on like where they came from. So Brendan Buckingham, check out, if nothing else, if his content isn't for you, which it's not for me, he has a few videos like that one that are just there's no words. They're just so good.
All right.
Cool.
I'm gonna wrap up 2023. Rob, it's been a pleasure. I'm going out of town
Okay.
for the holidays. I will rejoin you, whether you're doing this while I'm gone or not. We haven't discussed it, but I hope if people have any questions or comments that they leave them in the description. Rob has this on another one and at Rob Hood.
Yeah.
I have
At
my
Rob Hood.
channel. I have my channel at Ample Font. I also have a playlist in mind just in case you don't want to see it on Rob's channel. For wait, I'm shooing you away this way. I figured it out
That's
last
where I
time.
am. Yeah.
You're that way. Yes. But I hope
Well, just
everyone
make
has
sure
a
you
good.
listen. Make sure you subscribe. It's still shocking to me the amount of people that will watch stuff and just not subscribe. Like give it like it doesn't cost you anything. You know, it's not going to affect your life. YouTube, listen, if you watch this video, YouTube's going to recommend all my stuff. Just subscribe. That's it. You know? Please. And every Thursday. Like you'll be back in a month or so, but every Thursday there's a couple other people I want to bring on who knows how it's going to go. Who I really want to catch up with is Stiz because that man is elusive and he started a
Stiz
new job.
Grimy?
Yes. But he's a hard man to pin down. He has some new work which I'm very proud of, but I don't want to, expose too much without him here. So next week, I don't know what day is today, Thursday? Jesus, I thought it was Tuesday. I'm sorry. Poverty affects the brain. That's what they should do. Remember your brain on drugs and the egg and they crack it in the pan? They should do a PSA that says this is your brain
Me.
on poverty.
You're losing me.
All right. So we'll be back. Me and Brennan will be back
Yes.
in a few weeks. Until then, stay safe. Oh, and have a good 2024, right? Because
2024. Yeah,
yeah,
you
I
have a
want to
good
see you
Christmas, New Year's, all that. Everybody, ciao for now. We'll see you in
later.
2024.
Peace.